Good morning, beautiful people. It is Monday, July 20th, 2020, and although the days seem to be moving slowly, the calendar is certainly blowing right by. Big week in the return for sports, MLB. Yes, Major League Baseball. At one time was thought to never ever be able to come back because of conversations between the MLB and the MLBPA. They get a deal done very publicly, disgusting wise, but they get a deal done. They are back on Thursday. MLB returns the season on Thursday, which should be good for everybody, good for sports, good for gambling. Our friend Ty Schmidt, who is a diehard baseball fan, will be giving us some locks as the week rolls on. Also, big week in sports. The NFL and the NFLPA are starting their conversations to get back into action. Now, there are teams that are supposed to report today, the Chiefs and the Texans, and they are two of three teams who have okayed and gave the go-ahead to the NFL's infectious disease emergency response plan. I feel pretty good about that one. Hey, nailed it. There are two of three teams that have said yes to the infectious disease emergency response plan, although that was a big talking point this weekend by all of the players. What I have said since the beginning is that the NFL will have a season. And then I had to double down on that and tell myself, no matter what, no matter how ugly it gets, no matter how much it feels as if there will not be a season because the NFL and the NFLPA can't get along, there will be a season at the end of the day, and I have to remember that. I've been telling myself that now for like 2-3 weeks, and I've been saying that strictly because if we all take a little trip back in time to when the MLB and the MLBPA were talking, there was zero chance of them getting a deal done. Even the people that were in baseball, the baseball insiders, they were like, we have been way past the 11th hour here. It's only getting worse and worse and worse. There's a new CBA coming. They might not play. We're getting a bit pessimistic. They still have some time, but not much. And then we got past the amount of time they thought they had, and they still got it done. And that was the MLB. And the MLB was much different than the NBA or the MLS or anybody else that's playing because they aren't doing it in a bubble. They are traveling around. So the MLB, Rob Manfred, who we've all seen perform before as a commissioner, and we all agree he probably is the worst of the power sports commissioner-wise, he was able to figure out a way to get governors to allow stadiums to be open, mayors traveling, was able to get the MLB Players Association, which was at odds with him, to agree to a return to play setup, and they're coming back on Thursday. They've been in spring training. Everybody is getting along well in their stadiums, except for the Toronto Blue Jays, because Toronto actually kicked them out of Canada. They said no teams are traveling in and out just to play you guys. You guys stink at baseball. You can go play at another stinky baseball town, Pittsburgh's PNC Park, if you want. And by the end of this thing, you go ahead and put the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays wins together, and I'm still not certain that team combined that's playing at PNC Park will be able to make the playoffs. But that is why I believe that the NFL will be able to get it done. But this weekend, the players were loud. Hashtag we want to play rang loudly from every player's cell phone from around the country. And it wasn't just random players. These were the star players. Now, it is said that Byron Jones was the one that instituted the tweet storm from the Miami Dolphins, the cornerback. But I do believe the hashtag we want to play mantra, just like the MLB players that kept saying, tell us when and where, all started from J.J. Watt, who saw the way the CBA negotiations went a couple months ago, who saw the way the MLB and the MLBPA conversations went. And I do believe watches this show every once in a while and heard us talk about how the players of the NFL need to explain their positioning a little bit more as opposed to just saying no. So J.J. Watt has said numerous times, just so everybody's on the same page, this is how we play. His first and last notes are always, we want to play. But there is a lot of questions that you can see that we would have, especially coming out of this worldwide pandemic where information seems to be changing every single day. And there's been a lot of questions about how the NFL has had months and months to figure this out. But if we really think back a month from now, ago, not from now. You can't think back from now. Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, I was right. 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the infectious disease emergency response plan. But if you think back 1 month, think about what we thought we knew then versus what we know now, versus what were travel restrictions then versus what are travel restrictions now. Now, there's some cities that are going back to exactly where they were a month ago, but with this thing, we have no idea because it's unprecedented time. We all knew it was going to come down to the 11th hour to get this deal done. We aren't there yet, except for two teams, which is the Chiefs and Texans, to go back to return, and they got something done. So let's just assume that the NFL, no matter how many players tweet hashtag we want to play in for the NFL to be safe, and I respect that sentiment because we all would want to feel that way if we were going back to work for sure, especially when us being, I don't want to say us because that lumps me in with them, which I was at one point, but even when I was, my body was nowhere near the couch.
Yeah, but
I was a Honda Accord in a garage filled with Lamborghinis and Ferraris. You know what I mean? A couple big trucks in there as well. Mm-hmm. I was just a Honda Civic getting from A to B, you know what I mean, doing what I got to do. But every once in a while, underneath that Civic's hood would pop a rocket launcher, and then it would go back in, and I'd go sit on the sideline. But when you're talking about guys who have to be at their peak body performance, you can see how they could potentially worry about a viral disease potentially affecting their play, their health, their families, and all that. But I think at the end of the day, they will get it done because not only do they want to play, the owners that could potentially lose out on hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, they want them to play as well. The only owner that you have come out and heard say, like, hey, chance there's no league, is the guy who has no money. And that would be Mr. Davis out there for the Las Vegas Raiders. He just bought a massive stadium in Las Vegas, had to make a big move. But it is no secret that they are strapped for cash a little bit over there. Had to get rid of a couple players due to it. Now they have to build a new stadium, move into a new city. There's a lot of that. So whenever Mark Davis says, hey, canceling 20 NFL season is a real possibility. This is either just for negotiation-wise to get a deal done, or it's because he's saying, hey, we ain't even got corn dogs, Jackie, if we don't have a season. We'll talk about all that throughout today's show. We got two NFL guests, Charles Robinson, friend of ours from Yahoo, which is still a company somehow, and Ike Taylor, former Pittsburgh Steeler and Super Bowl champion, friend of the show. We'll chat to him about what would his mindset, that a boy Zito. Look at him with the S on guest.
I did it.
That boy, the bear down, he put that on there too. We'll talk to them about what their mindset is. Charles Robinson seems to know things that nobody else knows. He's been at Yahoo since its inception, and he's survived its death somehow. So he is still the senior NFL writer over there. He knows a lot about what's going on the inside. Tom Pelissaro has been leaking a lot of things from the NFL sides. It seems as if he is potentially in Commissioner Goodell's pocket at the moment. He has a very optimistic attitude, as do a lot of the players, I think. They just want to make sure they get things straightened out. We think they will do so. We also got some big news today about a lot of stuff. College football players allegedly thinking about just focusing on their chance to get in the NFL as opposed to a college football season, because it feels as if college football has next to no chance as opposed to the NFL, which is strictly business and football. College football has a lot of other people that they have to, appease to get rules back in there. And a lot of those people, lawyers, presidents, admissions people, a lot of those people don't live and die with football. NFL lives and dies with football. Colleges, universities have to look out for a lot more other than just their athletics. And if they're going to postpone or move fall sports, you got to think a lot of the big superstars of college football that are definitely going to go into the NFL, why not start training for the NFL right now as opposed to potentially playing a shortened season that you don't even know if it's going to happen? It's time to go get your money. In the running back for Clemson,
Travis Etienne,
he decided to go back to school as opposed to coming out. Next offseason, there are 75 running backs that are elite level that are going to be free agents, plus Travis Etienne. I'll be excited to see how it works out for him. But if I'm a college football player, or I know a college football player, or somehow I fornicated with my lady Sam, we had a baby, it grew up to be taller than both of us and played college football or somehow, and they were like 20, 21 years old, I'd be telling my kid, listen, go ahead and figure out how to run a 40, go do some benching, and start throwing balls in the holes, kid. This is what we are doing for the next 10 months, because it feels as if college football is probably going to be, unfortunately, one of those things.
Go ahead.
Feels like college football's got no shot. It really does. I don't like it. Hey, we don't like it here.
No, we can't stand it.
We don't like that here. I don't like that.
Hate it.
I don't like that one bit. I've been enjoying. I was at the pool this weekend. Oh, you know what I mean? I got a tan. Showed up at a bridal shower, brought some flowers like a hero. Man. Here we go. Things are going well. I'm getting married soon. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Hell yeah.
Me and Tone Diggs are living in basically the same time. There's a lot going on. So the only real negative here, and now granted we're in a pandemic and there's a lot. Sure. Let's act like all that doesn't happen. But in the sports world, the only real negative it feels like is college football's got no shot. And I think we've all kind of understood that. Like, I even think the internet's like, that one's going to be tough. But, boy, the NFL is one we have to remain optimistic about no matter how ugly it gets. All the boys are here, at Nick Moraldo, at Tone Diggs. Hey, by the way, I saw you show up with flowers at the bridal shower, too.
Never a doubt, my friend, never a doubt.
I would like to let everybody know that one of us in this office, me, did not know that you were supposed to show up at the bridal shower with flowers. Had no idea. We asked around the office. The office was split decision, to be honest. So we had to reach out to our friends that had been married before and are like good husbands and romantic and stuff. And every answer came back to us, yes, you have to show up at the bridal shower with flowers. I showed up, as it was potentially ending. Diggs showed up a little bit earlier than that.
Towards the end.
And we're heroes. Look at us, romance.
Yeah. You show up, you give flowers, you take a picture, you carry the gifts out. Job done.
Now, I will say, the time I arrived, some of the gifts were already out.
Hey, that happens.
I tried to time it. What do you
not
want
on
from me?
you.
I didn't want to be
It's
too
gonna
early. I didn't want to interrupt her bridal shower, but wanted to do my part. It was kind of. But I'm getting married soon. Pretty pumped up about it. College football, they're probably not happening. Ty Schmidt is here. Ty, big baseball week. We thought about a month ago there was no chance this would ever happen, and here we are.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been watching some of the exhibition games. It is definitely weird. I mean, I know we saw it in the KBO, but it is just much different. But I think it's more exciting. You can actually hear the players more. The sound of the ball coming off the bat when these guys go yard is incredible. I can't wait.
It's been happening a lot, though, right? A lot of dingers. We had the question going in, who's this going to favor, the batter or pitcher? It feels like the pitchers are going to have to catch up to the batters from the highlights I've been watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because a lot of these teams do have like split squads that are playing. So like some of these guys might not actually be on like the roster come
you got
Thursday.
some bums playing.
For sure. But also
me playing out there. You got Russell Wilson playing out there.
Russ Boss.
Well, you guys are good.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can dispute that.
But it will be interesting to see because you would assume that like without like I think the hitters can concentrate more. Like there's not as much noise going around, so you can kind of like lock in and
you'll be able to hear the garbage cans a little bit louder.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Nobody thinks about that. The fans won't be drowning out the garbage can sounds, which tell you when a curveball's coming. And if you know when a curveball's coming, see you later.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Thursday's going to be awesome.
Who's playing? Yankees playing primetime?
Yeah. Yankees Nationals around at 7. Yep.
That's awesome. Jason McAfee's here, looking fantastic. Viva Lazito's here. At Evan Foxy's here. And on the phones, 1-833-622-3331 at Boston Connor.
How we doing today, Pat? Wonderful weekend you had?
Not too shabby. I had a great weekend. How about your weekend? I heard you shot a 200 on a golf course.
Oh yeah, one of the best rounds of my life. I think it ended up being about 204, but I mean, hey, we hit some putts. That's what it's all about.
These dudes golfed at 7:20 a.m. on Saturday.
Oh,
Good for you guys.
Nothing wrong with that. A little early morning run.
Love that.
7:20 a.m. I mean, that cool glass is 7:20. Is that your third pair of Oakleys you've worn in the last 3 days?
Oh yeah, no, I have a few pairs.
Shouldn't have got money. Oh yeah, shouldn't have got money. What's it say on your dry erase board?
You can see Africa from Spain.
I knew that. I actually
Really?
Yeah, I was on a boat from Spain to Morocco. I won boat. Took me there.
Yeah.
And then there's the Canary Islands right over there, which is owned by Portugal, I do
The
believe.
Canary
A lot of
Islands.
Africa stats recently from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, by the way, you had the Maine one the other day.
Yep.
Yeah, Spain. That is the Meridian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the.
Prime Meridian.
Yeah. No.
Right about there.
No, Mediterranean.
Oh.
Yeah, not the Meridian. Mediterranean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you
I
good.
thought you were saying
This
the
is
Prime
Meridian.
Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian's the street we're on. You hop on this street, you get to the Mediterranean via a plane and a boat at Intern. Mid is here, by the way, looking very fresh.
Thank you.
How was your weekend? Look, you had a good one.
Yeah, great weekend. Had fun, played some golf, hung out with some
Yes.
Error.
Some water.
Good one.
Someone in the chat just said Connor looks like the brother from 51st Dates. You ever seen?
Oh, yeah, it does.
I have
right
not
here.
seen it.
And then
Oh, hold
you
on.
have it.
Switch it up. Yeah.
Oh my God! You look exactly like the
If you
guy.
had the belly shirt on.
What you normally
I actually
does.
do have my crop top in my fanny pack. Hold on. Want me to put it on?
No, we don't have enough time.
sure?
I do like to have a fanny pack on though.
Yeah, I put it over the chest. Usually it goes around the waist, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
nice little piece here.
We got to get to a break. 14 minutes after the hour. That was a deep pull there. The brother from 51st Dates.
It's Rudy.
That is Rudy's.
Yeah.
Offsides.
I guess that Rudy story is a bunch of garbage.
Yep.
Really?
That's what people say.
Yep.
I'm not happy about it. Actually, I didn't really care about that.
Apparently, he's a real horse's ass too.
No, not from that photo that I saw. That guy's a legend.
Where's he at now?
All right, we got Ike Taylor joining us in 15 minutes. I'm excited to hear his thoughts on the return to play, which seems like it will be happening. The NFLPA came out and said there's going to be a $140 million difference in salary cap, I guess. Whew, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I don't know how they're going to make up for that. That conversation still has to happen. The Health and Guidelines Infectious Disease Emergency Response Plan is getting okayed first. And then as the acclimation period and the training and this and that happens, they'll be having a conversation behind closed doors about the money. And that one, they'll know that they have like 40 days or whatever to figure it out. What happens if that gets ugly while the guys are still in the building? I don't know. I feel like they're going to figure it out. Roger Goodell is a new Roger Goodell. Maybe he doesn't want to go to war all the time. Maybe he says, I'll put my sword down. Don't worry, Smith, you put your sword down.
Have some M&Ms.
I hope so. We need it. I've been watching the MLS. Hilarious brand of soccer. Absolutely hilarious. I've been watching the AFL. Love the AFL. And the NHL is coming back. And Sidney Crosby took his stick and left the ice with an undisclosed injury.
Uh-oh.
His team won 7-0 in the inter-squad scrimmage, which you can take two different ways here. Do you not have a goalie? And while the boys are scoring. It's like
We're hot.
It's like in practice. Every time you're in a preseason practice, training camp practice, and there's fans there, they always cheer for the offense scoring. And I'm sitting there like, do you know our guy just got bombed on? Like, I don't know if we should be cheering for that or if we should be upset. Like, you should be cheering for nothing to happen on every single play. Like, that is it's an interesting thing when you're cheering inter-squad scrimmages because you always cheer for the offense. But if you think about it, you're like, well, who's getting scored on, first of all? Mm-hmm. And do we not have any defense? And is that corner going to be on our team? Because it feels like everybody's celebrating when that guy's going up against our wide receivers. We're back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, dumbest show in the history of the internet.
Last night I was roaming around Canal and Bourbon, and it was a lot of purple. And when you get that Mercedes-Benz Dome, and it starts getting loud and it gets rompous, obviously, not only for momentum and swings like that it can help, but for the defensive line to get a jump. I think that is a big deal. A lot of freak athletes on the field, and kickers are a spectacle no matter what happens. Whenever you're in those high-pressure moments, you normally fall back on your fundamentals. You normally fall back on your technique. You try to take your brain out of it. Cade York gets a beautiful ball.
One person up in the parking garage.
And think about him warming up right now. There's just three dudes in suits breaking down every single move he makes during his warm-up. What a wild scene here for Trevor Lawrence.
Quarterback, number 9, Joe Burrow.
You're supposed to be some draft expert, and you say Joe Burrow was a 5th-round draft pick before this year. Now he's number 1 overall. What do you know? What do you know, Todd? so handsome, it's ridiculous. What do you think has been happening in this first quarter? Why has Joe Burrow been stumped by this Clemson defense?
I think Brent Venables is the best DC in the country, and it's honestly not a shock to me. He did this to Tua last year.
Odell Beckham just stopped by.
Odell's very excited.
Odell's happy with the 52-yard attempt coming from the kid from Clemson. I've seen Odell make this with a spinning ball. And B.T. Potter puts it through from 52 in Odell's. Not in your face. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't in your face. You weren't looking at it.
That's a career high for B.T. Potter.
Bro, imagine Joe Burrow just having to stand in there and know that Isaiah Simmons is scot-free right in your suckle. That's a bad call. No chance Alberto Riveron would turn that over. He was in the Buccos organization.
Small businesses have unique needs, and despite the current uncertainty, one thing that remains unchanged is the importance of having the right people on your team. When your business is ready to make that next hire, LinkedIn Jobs can help by matching your role with qualified candidates so that you can find the right person quickly.
Hell yeah.
LinkedIn is an active
You
community
can.
of professionals with more than 690 million members worldwide. LinkedIn Jobs screens candidates with the hard and soft skills you're looking for and puts your job posts in front of qualified members every day so that it's seen by people looking for jobs like yours. That's how LinkedIn Jobs can help you hire the right person faster. When your business is ready to make that next hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. What? Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Shout out LinkedIn.com. Do we know what $50 off is? That feels like a big. That feels like a lot off.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of change.
Diggs? Doesn't say on there.
It's more than... It's a good bit.
It's a good bit. Speaking of a good bit, we don't have a lot of segments on the show, but we do have a segment on the show titled, Hey, you're a live show, so you should inform your listeners and viewers of things that are happening in the world so that they can have a conversation with anybody about anything and do actual news with your friend Nick. Good luck, Nick.
Here you go, Nick.
Thanks, Pat.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, now, Nick.
This segment, Hey, You're a Live Show, so you should inform your listeners and viewers of things that are happening in the world so that you can have a real conversation with everyone around you and be informed, is brought to you by Manscaped.
I mean, close enough. Close enough. You have a conversation with anybody about anything.
Close.
Yeah, close.
Close, like Manscaped.
Oh!
Because they offer you precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code PATM.
Okay, shout out to them, Pat M. New promo code. Make sure you lock it in there when you're getting a lawnmower 3.0. It is like silky smooth cutting the pubes. Go ahead, dude.
It's a big day. 51 years ago today, the Apollo 11 crew of American heroes Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins landed on the moon.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Yep, sure they did.
You know what? Let's
me.
not even start that. I see you grinning over there, and I know you're trying not to say something. I don't need you. Okay, I can't fight a two-front war right now.
240,000 miles from here is
right.
where the moon is.
Back when men were men.
By maybe 250. I forget the exact.
Haven't been back?
We can't get to the space station, which is 100 miles from here or something like that. Hey, I'm all in. Put the flag up, okay? Put it in there. But I got some questions. That was 51 years ago. They didn't even have the internet on their phones. And how did we slingshot 200 and some thousand miles? I just got questions, but hey, we made it though.
Yeah.
Science. Basic
NASA.
telemetry. I mean, what do you mean? How did they get there?
Well, we just decided never to go back. Hey, we got this technology. We land back. And remember, back in the day when spaceships are coming down, they were aiming for oceans, right? If you do recall, they were aiming for entire oceans. We come back. There's a lot of questions there. Not from me. I'm not speaking for me. I'm not speaking for Diggs. I'm just saying 51 years ago, we did something that I don't even think that they could do now if they had to. So a lot of questions there, but let's just move on.
Greatest generation.
Greatest generation. Hey, they were smarter than we were now, those guys.
Right.
And ladies that were down in Houston, obviously making that happen. We're very, very, very thankful. It's a long way, though.
It was in Houston?
History.
They had a problem. Houston, they had a problem. Go ahead, Nick. So we, as a consensus, we think it happened.
Yeah.
We think it happened.
We do. Yeah.
But we don't fully understand why there has never been, a follow-up maybe. Just a follow-up.
Well, I just assumed that the dossier of information they got up there, they were like, oh, we're good for the next 60 to 70, maybe 80 to 100 years.
Yeah, for maybe 102 years, so like 51 more years from now, they'll go
Usually,
up
if you
there.
go somewhere and you enjoy it, you recommend it to some friends, or you go back, check it out again.
And what did they see on the dark side? And did they check for any holes? Because people are probably living inside the moon. Have we thought about that yet?
We gotta watch out what we're doing. Buzz Aldrin's gonna smack us right in the mouth.
No. I would look Buzz Aldrin right in his face and I say, sir, you are an American hero. Because it's not his fault that I have questions, right?
No.
I think we went, but I do have some questions.
Well, maybe we didn't go back because there was something living inside the moon.
It's
That's
scary.
what I'm thinking. I'm
So
thinking
don't
there
go
was
back.
somebody that potentially said, hey, cool, thanks for coming. Go ahead and slingshot your ass right around this moon, right back to wherever the hell you came from yet again. Maybe that is the case.
Yeah.
And those are some questions we have too. We just have questions. But shout out to that.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Heroes.
heroes.
Congratulations.
Happy we did that.
Made it to the moon.
Happy anniversary. 51 years ago. Are we still up on YouTube right now? Go ahead.
Yeah.
The NBA built an NBA barbershop in the Orlando bubble to keep the players looking fresh.
Smart. This is very smart. Everybody knows you get a new haircut, you feel a lot better, you look a lot better. And if those guys are going to be out there with 24 cameras on them every single game and the entire world watching, got to have a good fade. What are we even thinking? I assume that this was something that as soon as the players arrived, they asked, like, okay, where's the barber going to be? And then the NBA had to go, oh, no. We don't have that one yet. They put it in there. I guess in NBA 2K, I'm not a big gamer. There is like a build your own character where you can go shop, you can go to the barber, and that is what a lot of people are saying this reminded them of. I'm pumped that they're making their own barbershop because with all those hotels, you think you could just turn one of the rooms into it. But no, let's go ahead and post this thing up. And I would assume there's a chance Bron's going to be in there having full conversations because that's content, baby, and that's business, baby, coming out of the bubble.
You think they accept walk-ins or it's schedule only?
Well, you gotta get in through the thought chopper if you're not outside there. I don't know how many barbers they're going to have in there too. They have to have 3 in there, right? But that doesn't seem like it's big enough for socially distancing 3 barbers. You got every NBA player done. It's probably going to be 2 barbers there.
It looks like it.
Those are going to be some busy hands. Hey, those are going to be some busy hands. Those are going to be going all damn day. And what if? Oh, who gets preference? Obviously, OGs get preference for sure.
Yeah.
That's rookies going to be looking bad out there, and they're going to have to be getting 2 a.m. barbershop appointments. Listen, we have a great barber that comes to this office.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want a good fade like these guys are going to want, I mean, it takes sometimes, 3-4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
It does take a little bit longer. Hey, old Bobby Ross doesn't paint in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's a real artwork.
Yep.
Go ahead, Nick.
Early Sunday morning, a volcano in Italy erupted, spewing bombs of lava. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Phew.
What was the name of the volcano?
The volcano is located on the island of Stromboli.
Good. It's a good dish.
So it's a Stromboli volcano?
That is what some people call it, Pat.
That's delicious.
Pasta. You know what I mean? Like, why are you so upset about that? Just because
It's
it's
a meatball.
Let's just get it out of the way. Go ahead.
Why? Because it's named after a pasta?
Tell your jokes, funny man.
I don't have any jokes.
Hey, Stromboli's not a pasta.
What is it?
It's kind of like a
Ravioli.
No.
Tortellini.
That's still pasta.
Like a calzone with
Yeah,
all
it's
the
like
meat and
there.
cheese.
Oh my God! It's a folded pizza.
Yes.
Oh, I know what a stromboli is. Those things are delicious. And by the way, when you bite into them, little piece comes out and burns your mouth. I don't think there's ever been a better named volcano than the Stromboli volcano. Maybe they call it Hot Pocket. That would be the only thing
Yeah,
that
they
is.
stole the idea.
Hot Pocket stole
Yeah.
a Stromboli idea.
That's a volcano.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of a pepperoni roll.
Yeah, that's more like a pepperoni breadstick. A Stromboli has sauce in it, doesn't it?
No, I usually dip it in the sauce.
Oh, so never mind then. Bad name for a volcano. Why are you mad though? Just because it's a stereotypical Italian thing, Stromboli?
Yeah, just I know you're going to say something demeaning and disparaging here very soon.
Not
very
me.
shortly.
I'm 0.09% Italian. I would never do that to my people.
Here's some live shots of the volcano right here.
Yep.
Don't do it.
He felt so good about it.
I knew it.
Felt so good
Most
about it.
predictable.
Anything else happen in the world?
4 days ago, New Jersey U.S. District Court Judge Esther Salas was assigned to a lawsuit for Deutsche Bank investors who alleged the bank failed to properly monitor high-risk customers, including convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. On Sunday, her husband was shot and wounded, and tragically, her 20-year-old son, Daniel Andor, was killed in a shooting at their home by a suspect dressed in a FedEx uniform. Police have yet to establish a motive for the shooting.
What? So what happened? So a judge,
FedEx is killed.
a judge that is involved with the Epstein situation was just shot, or her husband was
Her
shot.
husband was shot, and her son was shot and killed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No.
Yikes.
I don't like when the show turns this way. There's a lot to be said here. Rest in peace, by the way, to the judge's husband, or to the son, and to the husband being shot. Not good. But boy, oh boy, hey, this world is popping off. There's some real stuff. That's why on the internet, you can't get in those rabbit holes, because once you start getting those rabbit holes, you start getting a lot of questions about a lot of things. And by the way, 51st anniversary of the moon, there's going to be a lot of rabbit holes today that you could potentially dive down. And then this one, oh my God. Is our show still up? Don't think so. If it is, let's pivot out of here. Thanks for the news, Nick.
Oh, wait, biggest story of the day. WWE superstar Rey Mysterio Jr. lost an eye last night.
What?
Are you?
What?
Yeah, T's and P's. Seth Rollins ripped his eye out right there on the stage with a stare. Put his head right. Eye for an eye match. Only way you can win, pluck out the other person's eyes. Seth Rollins did it too well. Rey Mysterio. Also, not to be overshadowed by the losing of an eye thing, Braun Strowman potentially got ate by alligators last night. Yep. In a swamp fight, 200 degrees, 400% humidity. Braun Strowman got eaten by an alligator, we think, and Rey Mysterio lost an eyeball because of a stare. Horror shows, what it was called, Extreme Rules. Things got extreme. Speaking of extreme, let's go to a man who is a Super Bowl champion. He's an absolute stud. I believe he was running like an Orange Theory class out of his garage last time we talked to him. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who is a two-time Super Bowl champion, Ike Taylor.
P-Mac. It's the Guy Rouge. It's the Guy Rouge.
That's on me. That's
Come
on
on, Cuzzy.
I know. Hey, Cuzzo, I can't. If I say Guy Rouge, everybody will come after me and say, hey, you're not allowed to speak like that. I just want to let you know. So if I said Guy Rouge, I would get attacked for that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Well, listen, thank you for taking some time out of your Guy Rouge to talk to us here. Ike, obviously you've been keeping up with everything with the We Want to Play. This is obviously an answer for what the MLB players did. They said, tell us when and where. Now, 3 teams have okayed the infectious disease emergency response plan that the NFL laid out. The other 29, I assume, are testing it now. This all happened into last night. The last minuteness of all of this, does that worry you at all for the return of training camp? And what are ultimately your thoughts if you were a player going into this situation?
Yeah, it'd be kind of rough right now, especially with a lot of guys talking about, they got their wives and their girlfriends, got babies on the way. Health is the most important thing, and you know that, P-Mac. If you're not healthy, if you stay injured, you can't play, period. One of the key things to being successful is to stay healthy for a long period of time. Now we got this COVID going on, and we really don't know what it is. We really don't have a cure for it other than quarantining yourself. So at the same time, these guys are like, what's the remedy? Why should I leave where I'm at and bring something back to my house? Like, of course, you go through training camps, and through training camps, man, it's 3 to 4 weeks, depending on if you playing the Hall of Fame game or not. But I just feel like the NFL should have had something figured out a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Worst case scenario, a long time ago, and presented to the players. So, but you know the NFL, one of the biggest Debos. If you ever watch Fridays, one of the biggest Debos ever. You know what I'm saying? Them boys just did a 9-year. They coming up off of a 9-year deal. They probably redo the 9-year deal, depending on what Fox, NBC, and ESPN and which streams they can make up to $5 billion this year. So them boys know exactly what they're doing. And we didn't sign these TV deals. Y'all gonna play, you know. So it's just sad to see. But at the same time, that's how I'm looking at it. Like, why are these guys gonna play and they don't have options on what's good or what's not good when it comes down to health related? So you ask me, I can't exchange a jersey, but you're saying I can breathe and sweat and share cuts on the next man. That's the part I don't get.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that don't make no sense. Hopefully they'll come up with something soon, but just me looking at it from a management part, a front office part, a owner's part, we didn't sign this deal already, and these games got to be played.
Let's talk about this. What if they give the option of you, just like I believe the NBA did, where they said if you opt out, there'll be no harm, no foul at all. If the NFL was to do that, do you think a majority of players would play, or do you think a majority of players would sit out? If you were to kind of just guess on what you think it would be, because it feels like a lot of the players we want to play, and they were worried about how the NFL wasn't listening to the NFL's doctors and experts who were saying like, hey, this is how this has to be done. Then as of yesterday, allegedly the NFL did listen, and they got 3 teams to okay the, you get it, infectious disease emergency response plan. Do you think if they made that offer to the players, like, hey, if you don't want to come back, we completely understand, do you think a majority of players would not come back?
They're not making. You're not making that offer, and Aaron Rodgers is going to sit out, or Patrick Mahomes is going to sit out, or Russell Wilson going to sit out, or Matty Ice going to sit out, a Dak Prescott going to sit out. You're not making that. You're not giving them guys offers, and them guys truly do care about their teammates. And they like, man, if I ain't playing, what you think the rest of the team gonna be like? We ain't playing either. So the owners are the owners smart. I'm definitely not giving y'all no option to where these good quarterbacks, these guys who keeping these streams alive, these guys who keep boosting the ratings between the Lamar Jacksons, the Deshaun Watson, all of these young studs at quarterbacks. If I give these boys an option not to play, what you think their teammates gonna feel like?
Yeah, they're not going to be happy with their teammate. Yeah, that's going to be tough. They're not going to go. They won't play. Everybody will play. So it goes as the leaders go. That's why J.J. Watt putting out the tweet, and Patrick Mahomes putting out the tweets, and Aaron Donald putting out the tweets. This is the first time in a long time I've seen like the stars all kind of universally come out and all be in unison, which happens in other sports, doesn't always happen in the NFL. Normally, the NFL Players Association is somebody that isn't a superstar, but somebody that wants to like get involved. The NFL Players Association is not a desirable position to be had in the locker room, to be 100% honest with you. But now the stars of the game are coming out, so it would be very interesting to see how that would turn out if the NFL did make that offer or proposal.
P-Mac, like I told my mom, and like I told even my and your generation, P-Mac, this younger generation is fearless. They're educating themselves more. They're doing a lot of research because the phone holds a lot more information. They ain't really got to get down to the books, and they're fearless. They're fearless. And when it comes down to this generation sticking together, I've never seen that like it in the NFL than now.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Because the NBA, I thought there was a time there with the NBA where Kyrie Irving came out and Dwight Howard came out and I believe Avery Bradley came out. I was like, wait, is the NBA potentially going to back out? But then the NBA and the NBPA, which still makes no sense. It should be the NBAPA, but I guess association twice would look bad, but you get it. They came together and had an agreement. What do you think the owners and players, what do you think is going to be the biggest holdup? Do you think it is strictly the health and guidelines, or do you think it's potentially the $140 million cap hit that could potentially happen to next year's salary cap?
No, it's the health and guidelines. You got to understand that we the sport with a lot of people playing. We got 3 guys on that Sunday roster. You know what I'm saying? Where the NBA might travel with 15 guys, and you know it's a contact, it's a cutthroat sport. You know, we play with broken bones. We play rough. You know what I'm saying? So when you're holding that many guys that can be exposed all off of breathing, man, that thing can get very contagious, P-Mac. So I don't think right now it's really about the salary cap. I think them guys really do. They truly believe it's all health related, you know, because football is it's a large number sport that we play in, P-Mac.
I think what a lot of people don't know is if you show up to work in the morning and you have any flu-like symptoms, they tell you to go home. Like you are literally sent home from the building because of the togetherness of football. It's whether it's in the training room, in the cold tub, in the hot tub, in the meeting rooms, in the cafeteria. They even out of practice where everybody is together. Now, granted, the offense with the offense, the defense is with defense, but there's a lot of time where everybody kind of travels as units, especially at training camp when you're all filing into team meeting rooms with 100 people deep sitting on top of each other. And if you have anything, they tell your ass to go home. I would assume the thing that was once believed to potentially travel 6 feet out of somebody's face just by looking at them is something that would alarm a lot of the players and the doctors in each building.
Yeah, for what we know, COVID stay in your clothes longer than anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, we're 6 feet apart, but if I wind up dapping you off, or if my locker room is close enough to yours, which my locker might be close enough to yours, man, COVID stay long in clothes. That's what people fail to realize. So it's hard, like you say, in training camp, man. You got over 100 guys. You got over 100 guys, P-Mac, in a small room. You know what I'm saying? And what the thing about was difference between COVID and the flu is, you know when you got the flu. Some guys had COVID and got tested, and they didn't even know they had it.
All right, let's move off of that. Let's act as if there's a season. Did you ever get upset about your Madden ratings, and did that make you play better the next year?
Man, I played for my Madden ratings. I knew if my Madden ratings went up week to week, that means I was balling. I knew if I was balling, I was about to get some more cheese in my bank account.
I used to do that.
I started off with like a 70, a 79, and I was pissed off. But then one of my homeboys, he was like, bro, you know, if you ball every week, your ratings go up depending on how you play. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, they do it every week. Like, they make changes every week to different people. I was like, oh, well, I just need to ball out. He was like, bro, you ball out, your ratings just go up. And that's what the hell I started doing, P-Man.
I'm sure all of Pittsburgh is very thankful for your friend that told you that your Madden ratings go up if you ball out, because that obviously ended up in good situations for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, P-Mac, not to be, I don't think they thought it was funny, but I thought it was funny. When my contract situation came up, I was like, did y'all see my Madden rating?
Hey, Mr. Rooney, let's talk about this real quick. You know, this Madden game, you guys are behind it. The NFL is part of it. My rating jumped 10 points this year. I am the hottest I have ever been, not only in the video game, but on the football field. We need to at least address that with this number you just offered me here.
100%. We got to talk. We need to talk.
I saw an article or a report or something. Was it true that you had headphones built into your helmet to listen to music during the game?
Yeah, that's very illegal, isn't it? I mean, that is very illegal.
Man, that's so illegal.
Thought so.
But you know what? It was creative, and I loved it. So I had my Nano hooked up to my shoulder pads. There's two guys on offense. It's the two quarterbacks who get the play calling from the sideline. Then after that, there's two guys on defense, and they got to be the captains. So you got one captain, then you got a sub if the captain wind up getting hurt. I said, you know what, man? Let me just go on and just put that in my helmet and not tell nobody, and just hook it up Bluetooth-wise. So I wound up putting it in my helmet, man. So I had the same setup as the quarterbacks did in their helmet, but I just had it Bluetooth to the point where I had a little small Nano, and I just charged it up the night before the game, and I just rocked out.
What was the main theme of the music that was going through there?
It was Wayne. It was Lil Wayne all day.
Hey, that was back whenever he would hit that thing with that Wayne train, and every song was going.
That squad up?
Oh. Did you have next on there? Did you have to hit your shoulder pad to go to next song if it wasn't right for the right time? Maybe it's a red zone play. Hey, we got to tighten up.
I had over 500. I had over 500 song playlists, so I was all good. I was all good.
Did you ever miss any checks because Lil Wayne was in the ear?
No, never. We do. Don't forget, I played with the same. Troy and I played for 12 years straight. For the most part, everybody else I played for 6. So for us in the secondary, it was hand signals. So it was never really us talking. It was because we played together for so long. Either we called eye contact or it was hand signals, and we already knew what time it was. So for me, I'm like, oh, so we running the same defense for these years? Man, let me go ahead and put this headset in my helmet.
So right here, you're lined up against Ted Ginn, and Ted has no idea that directly across you got the Carter playing very loud in your helmet.
Bumping. Concert.
That's the best. Steve, not Steve. I forget which punter. It was not Steve Weatherford. One of the punters, I forget who it was. They had like earplugs in, so they couldn't hear anything. And I said, I went up because each game before the game, while the punters were warming up, I go talk to them. Right? I'm like, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Like, hope you do well. And I talked to returners. I was always pretty chatty during warm-ups. And this one guy I go up and talk to just doesn't even look at me. And I'm like, is this guy like ignoring me? Is he big-timing right now? And then his coach had to tell me like, oh, he's got earplugs and he can't hear anything. I'm like, well, that's some of the softest I've ever seen. And then I was like kind of intrigued by it. I was like, so this guy is just with his own thoughts. This guy is just with his own thoughts his entire. I don't know if I'd be able to make. I don't think he lasted. I forget who it was, but the thought of you just bumping in your head, like that is a great weapon to have. That is a great weapon to have in there. I'm happy you did it. I think more people should think about it. And most importantly, I hope we get back to play this fall.
I got it from watching X Games. I started watching the skateboarders. They used to bump in the snowboarder. Sean White. That's what Sean White would do. I was watching Sean White, and I was like, man, why he just bouncing? Why he just, you just look, you're like, oh man, he got the earphones in his head. What's doing that?
Ladies and gentlemen, an absolute innovator and trailblazer in football, our friend, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Ike Taylor. Thank you. Get back to the garage, Ike. Get back to the garage.
You sure right, dog. Thanks, bro.
Cheers, man. Thank you. All right, we got to get to a break 46 minutes after the hour. That's insane. Just the thought of him just over there and nobody having a clue. Like, hey, Ike has lost his damn mind. Oh, he walks to the beat of his own drum. It's like, no, he's actually got a nano in his thing.
Lil Wayne's drum.
Oh, my God. We're back on the other side of this break. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
He's saying don't go off the top, it's too shallow.
All you're going to hear this stadium do is they put the big paw up, they start shaking it, they go, whoa. Hey, what things are going, look, they said, yeah, he loves the defensive side of the ball. He said yesterday to me that this is a blue-collar team. They win it on special teams. They have 5 block kicks this season. The defensive side of the ball, Lynch leads the Big 12 in sacks. But also on the offensive side, Denzel Mims is an absolute animal. He is a weapon. Charlie Brewer, the quarterback from Lake Travis. His dad was a quarterback in Texas. Yeah. His grandpa was a quarterback in Texas. And the people here in Waco just so happen to get a chance to see Charlie Brewer on a daily basis.
Okay.
Hey. Yeah, Boomer here is going to mean a little bit different than what it means on the internet currently. And hopefully here in Baylor, they hope they're not hearing a lot of Boomer sooner. Everybody wants to be a punter, including quarterbacks. If I was a quarterback, I'd want to be a punter as well. 0 yards on that punt. That's an embarrassing situation. The Dak dance that gets on national television has led to a lot of losses, but you got to respect the hips being able to. What sign am I going to make for college game day? Well, I want to make something creative. I want to make something fun. No, to hell with it. I don't like OU. It's so thick. Look how thick that thing is. That's years and years of patience. You're headed right for the boat. Right now? Okay, let's do it. We are out here on the Brazos River, which you can take a boat to the game. One of the only stadiums in the country that you can do that. It's beautiful out here. A lot of people would say, this is the last time I'm going to be on game day. The last time I allegedly did what I'm about to do, I ended up in a jail cell. Let's go! Bad decision. Bad decision. The poop kicker's getting right down there. A lot higher than I thought.
You look like Ric Flair. That was a sellout, by the way. That was beautiful.
Do we have any other shirts? Yeah, hold on.
You need to go get changed before you get sick.
Great work, Rush. I'm actually not that cold. Hey, I went for it. My chest hurts. It was like 5 feet. I was standing there. That's full commitment, by the way. I want to make sure. Okay. Big gold chain guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Watched the last ride with the Undertaker last night. Tales from Creatures of the Night or something, whatever it was. It was just stories about him partying and they had a bunch of shots of him back in the day and Stone Cold back in the day, and they all had gold chains. And I was like, I think I'm gonna try to bring back gold chains for sure.
Hell yeah.
Turns out it's tough to pull off. I mean, this
looks good.
No, it's tough. I mean, the only cool thing about it is you can do this thing right here, you know.
Ooh, whoa.
Oh, on my thing. It's on my thing.
Got hooked.
Can't do it with headphones.
I mean, hey,
there
cool
really
chain.
isn't thing. Now I got a choker on.
Oh, that looks good.
Now I got a golden choker on, and that is just not great. Maybe that's the look there, huh?
Yeah. Tight to the neck.
Whatever it is. A lot of people coming after me right now for saying that some people have questions about the moon landing. I didn't say I have questions about the moon landing. Right. Well, I did actually. I said that I have some and other people do. But apparently I have potentially been a part of Diggs's thing, which is saying it didn't happen, which I believe it did happen. I just have a lot of questions. I'd like to clear the air there.
Well, I like some people are saying.
No, you are the person that I was referring to.
Question why we never went back, but I do now subscribe to the theory that there's just something there that we should never go back.
Okay,
again.
let's cover
It's
some
too
things
scary.
here before the hour changes. We just want to let you know, it's not me that doesn't think it. I think it happened. I just have a lot of questions on how, why, when, and all that. Well, I guess 51 years ago is when it was. LeBron's rookie card goes for $1.8 million. I had no idea people are still buying sports cards like this. I guess there has been a little bit of a wave of sports cards interest on the internet that has kind of picked up a little bit. So I believe
that this is a normal thing for in this type of world, but I could never imagine in a million years spending $1.8 million on a little piece of cardboard-like paper that says something that allegedly happened years ago. But I respect people who do, because if you spend $1.8 million on this, you probably feel very fulfilled when that thing arrives, and then you put it up on a wall that nobody really sees.
Nope.
Bingo.
LeBron says he's got a few more at the house, so he's sitting on probably $7-8 million worth of little tiny cards with his name on it. I respect people that collect cards. It's just never something I got into. I never understood it. I like rock collectors as well. Shout out to the good rock collectors out there. All those people are their thing. Hour 1 wraps up. We'll be back on the other side. I feel like it went from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. Right?
Felt quick.
Oh my God. I was like, man, I'm really fucking going if that was already 30 seconds right there. But Don, I appreciate you. We just ended the radio show. The LeBron card for $1.8 million. I've never truly understood the fascination with people collecting in stuff like that. I've never, but then you watch like Dana White, and you see his office where he got into big art when he got a bunch of money. Yeah. And then Jim Irsay is a guy that obviously owns the Colts and was my boss for a long time. And he'll buy old music pieces for millions and millions of dollars. And that's interesting when you're in a negotiation with him for your job that you do. And you're like, okay, well, I think I'm worth this much. And then he's not saying it, but his lead counsel is like, well, we can't pay you that much. It's just not what the market says. This didn't happen with me, but it had happened with some of my friends. And then while that negotiation is happening, he buys like a $2 million guitar from somebody. And it's like, well, wait a fucking minute now. I just want to like, now I understand that's a personal stuff and this is a business thing, but I feel like I'm worth more than that fucking guitar, am I not? And then that whole thing. But other than that, I like what Jim Irsay does in collecting. I like what Dana White has done with his art collections. I would never in a million years do it. I don't have anywhere near the amount of money to do that. I think you get the fuck you money though, and you just start buying things that you have no idea that you're just like, yeah, I want that. I want that. I want that. What's up, Steve?
Gary Vee actually bought some a couple years ago, and he said, look at this tweet, July 12th.
This is a big deal. Check out the LeBron James 2003 to 2004 Topps Chrome rookie number 111 PSA 10 available on StockX. Look back at this tweet on July 12th, 2022.
It was a little earlier.
He's the one that sold that? That was his card?
I don't believe so, but I can imagine he has a couple himself.
Oh, okay. I did get a text from some... You know when you do that, everybody can hear that.
Sorry.
The... What were you doing there? You were...
whatever.
Biting his tongue.
But I guess the cards can really go for a lot of money. I never had a playing card whenever I was actually playing football, so maybe that's another reason why I didn't care about it. I never collected cards. But these people who just have money falling out of their ass, I like that they just start collecting random shit that nobody else understands why it's so expensive.
I get art because it takes skill to create it.
Does it? Have you seen some of this bullshit fucking art that's out there?
Some art.
There is some. I've been asked to go to some of these little events things, and I have gone once, and boy, it was very difficult for me to hold my tongue and be like, oh, this is 5th grade art class. That's what this is. You don't understand the meaning behind it. I was like, no, it looks like whenever I was in 5th grade and they told me I had to fucking use all the colors and I had to hit every single part of the paper, and that's what I created. They're like, you don't get it. I'm like, obviously not. That's $3 million. It's like, interesting. Who the fuck is buying that?
Is there any like sports memorabilia or, like even a guitar from Tom Petty perhaps that you would buy?
I think even ever since I was a kid, like I love Tom Petty. You're right. If we could get a Tom Petty guitar in here for sure, but then I mean, I'm the same person that bought a wrestling ring and a house that I'd never seen before and an aquatic vehicle that doesn't float and all this. I've made a lot of terrible purchases, but I can at least enjoy those for a little bit. And that's why I think I have a question about, like, you can't play the Tom Petty guitar. Like, I can't take that down to Howl at the Moon, learn how to do a single, wish you was a man from that land, like Yes Man, which is the only reason why you'd want to do that. I don't know if you can play any of these things, which is what I don't understand, but hopefully in this room and everybody that's listening and watching, we all get stupid rich enough that we think like, yeah, $1.8 million for a tiny little card, we'll take that. Sure. But I'm just not there yet. But I'm not sure there's anything that I would want to. Maybe a Bob Ross maybe a Bob Ross original if I got some good cash.
Brush from him as well, a Bob Ross.
Well, brush. you know that brush is holy because he's beat the devil out of it, which is actually, sometimes you take out all your frustrations, you beat the devil out of it, and you'd want that brush because maybe the devil's never been there before. What are you thinking, Diggs? You just wanted to fucking bang on the mic like it's a bongo.
That was
my dogs at my house right now are losing their mind.
It was an unfortunate mistake on my part. I could see like LeBron, like if it was the ball that he pinned against the backboard, like in the finals.
Oh, maybe with his hand on it.
Correct.
Ooh.
Like cut off his hand on the ball with the backboard.
Yeah.
And you have that whole thing. It's like, hey, this actually happened.
You see that
But
hand
not
right
the
there?
card.
Nobody in this room is a collector,
No.
right?
No.
I collect swords.
I collect the Pokemon
You do,
cards.
but you just buy swords. They're not like actual swords.
Yeah.
And at what point is it like become like a collection? You know, like how many pieces do you have to have where it begins to be like a collection as opposed to just like a couple?
Like if that guy only has that one card, but he has spent millions of dollars on it, does he have a collection? He has $1 million collection.
Yeah, but I'm guessing if that's his only card and that's what he's spending on, the guy probably killed himself today.
10 years from now, though, that card.
Yeah, you're right.
That card's he's gonna be a Victoria's Secret guy. Get out from under the bridge.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Monday, July 20th, big collector's item show.
Huge.
Talking about LeBron James rookie card going for $1.8 million. We all questioned who would want to buy that and how they would want to buy it, but respect anybody that goes out and pays $1.8 million for a rookie card. LeBron James says, guess who else has a couple of those exact ones at the house? I would assume he's alleging himself does. So if everything comes crashing down for LeBron, even though he's worth $1 billion at this point, he can cash in at least another few $1 million on a small little cardboard piece of paper that says a picture of him from his rookie year, his stats, and it's framed. Congratulations to LeBron James and to the person. I would assume, it's going to sound sexist, I would assume that was a man that bought that card. I'm not sure a female would make that purchase. It seems to be a rather stupid one, but congrats to them. We went into an entire dive into all the people that collect things. We don't truly understand it, but we respect it. And we all hope that everybody listening and watching becomes rich enough to buy things like that and not feel completely stupid about it. The entire crew is here this morning at Nick Moraldo, at Tone Diggs, at Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Viva Lazito, Evan Foxy, and on the phones, 1-833-622-3331 with a fanny pack and cool glasses, Boston Connor.
Hey, thanks, Pat. Cool glasses yourself. How about the West Coast Eagles absolutely dismantling Foxy's terrible team, the Fremantle Dockers, this weekend?
Big weekend in the AFL. I believe the Port Adelaide boys had a massive, thrilling finish with a kick after time. So after the whistle was blown, a man hit a shot from a negative angle to win it for the Port Adelaide squad. The Western Eagles also getting hot. I mean, the Magpies, I believe they're on a hot streak. And right now, Port Adelaide's number one. The Brisbane Lions, shout out to Ty, is number two. Collingwood, my squad, 3 overall after a little bit of a slide. A little bit of a poor performance. We are a tough, gritty squad. Going to be tough to score against. AJ Hawk's new team. He changed teams because he's not an actual fan. The Richmond Tigers, also the reigning champions, are at number 4. The Geelong Cats, which Tony Diggs picked after they had one good win, expecting them to be great. They are now in 5th. In 7th, the Gold Coast Suns. Zito has not made them a pump-up video in quite some time. The West Coast Eagles at 8. Yeah. The Western Bulldogs at 9. At 13, the GWS Goons Giants, which is Nick's squad. The Fremantle Detroit Lions of the AFL are in 15th. 16th, the Sydney Swans, which is Jason's team. I forgot you picked them, Jay. Not very bad team, Jay. Very bad team. And the North Melbourne Kangaroos are Gumpy squad. They are currently down there in 17th. We are still watching the AFL. We're still keeping up with the AFL, but it has become increasingly more difficult to watch the games as they move to FS2, ESPN 14, while the MLS is getting propped into prime time, which, by the way, I've been enjoying the MLS. It's like watching like high school soccer at this point. You know, they are all much better at soccer than anybody in this room.
Without question.
They are much better at soccer than anybody probably knows, aside from the people in Hershey who are friends with Christian Pulisic, who's the greatest soccer player on earth right now, playing for Chelsea, still dominating. The MLS players are very good at soccer. I went and tried to have my hand in the MLS when the lockout happened with the Columbus Crew. I made it through about 1 day, maybe 2 days, played pretty good, couldn't get out of bed the 3rd day, and I was in the best shape of my life. So the amount of conditioning, cardio, and skill that these MLS guys have, especially playing in Orlando in 150 155-degree heat with 200% humidity. Very, very impressive. But boy, the quality of play has been rather trash from some people, and it almost makes it more interesting, by the way, because you never know when a goalie is going to whiff on a ball and it's going to go in. You never know when an outside mid is going to sprint down the field, kick the ground, stumble on their face, the ball's going to roll out of bounds. You never know when a striker is going to be right in front of a wide open net and whiff and fall on their face. That could happen, and the MLS has been bringing electricity in the morning and night from Orlando. The MLS is the first league out of all these leagues that was able to start post-quarantine happening. And this is an important thing. The NHL started their season pre-quarantine, got a lot of payments in. They just had to finish their season. The NBA started their season pre-quarantine, then quarantine happened. Now they have to finish their season. The MLS, I don't believe they started their season pre-quarantine. They just started their season post-quarantine, which is good news because they and the MLB had to figure out business-wise, safe-wise, and that's what the NFL is going to have to do. The reason why the MLB and the MLBPA got into it so bad is because they have a terrible PR policy and how they propose situations to each other. They roll it out through the media, but also they had to figure out an entire season worth of business. So the MLB and the MLBPA not only had to figure out the guidelines for COVID-19 return, but they had no season before the quarantine, so they had to figure out an entire season's worth of business, which is what the NFL has to do right now. Because the NFL didn't play 3/4 of its season before the quarantine like the NBA did, like the NHL did, it is a very different world knowing that they have to figure out all the business and they have to figure out this unprecedented time with a COVID-19 pandemic potential coming off the top rope like Dolph Ziggler did last night, by the way. Dolph Ziggler put Drew McIntyre through a table with an elbow drop, and I think he jumped 200 feet in the air. It was unbelievable. But that is what we're in for with the NFL and the NFLPA right now. And we have to remember that when we compare it to the NBA or we compare it to the NHL, they had checks in seasons before the quarantine. They just had to wrap up this season at the end. The NFL has not had any of that. They have to wrap up an entire season worth of business, plus future cap, plus COVID-19 guidelines. And that all has to happen within the next 8 days for every single team's training camp. And right now, I believe the Chiefs and Texans are reporting to training camp today. The infectious disease emergency response plan was confirmed and okayed by 3 of the 32 teams, 2 of which are the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs, who have to report back today. But that has to get okayed, obviously, by the other 29 teams. Then they also have to move into the roles of figuring out the business side of this thing. There's a lot that has to take place between the NFL and the NFLPA, and we just have to know, no matter how volatile this conversation gets, no matter how many superstars from the NFL, which doesn't happen on a regular basis, no matter how many of them tweet out the problems that they have, their worries for returning to play, no matter how many superstars of the game come out and say, hey, this is a problem for us, let's all remember that Rob Manfred was able to figure it out. Okay? And they didn't have a season beforehand. They had to do the entire business in COVID-19 and all that. And they're coming up on a new CBA, which makes it even more contentious. If Rob Manfred was able to figure it out, let's hope that our commissioner, the brand new Roger Goodell 2.0, will be able to figure it out. And I have high hopes for that. We got 8 days. Who knows if it's going to happen, but I hope so.
You would think, so it said that the NFLPA approved 3 teams return protocols. Why don't the other teams just all copy what those ones that were already approved and do?
Well, I would assume that those ones could potentially be different with the different ordinances of the states and counties and everything like that. Because you got to remember, just like the Ivy League, Robin Harris, executive director, who decided to postpone and suspend all fall sports, whenever she came out and said why she did it, she said she was just abiding by the campus's rules. In the Ivy League's campuses were making rules that would have been impossible to do sports. So now with the NFL, I assume, and a lot of people don't know this, when you play in the NFL, whenever you go and play, let's say, a California team, you have to pay taxes to California. You have to pay taxes to the county that you're in. You have to sometimes pay taxes to the city that you're in and to your home team because they're paying you. So you have to pay taxes in every single county, state, and city that you play in. And right now, the NFL has to abide by the rules that are in every single state, county, and city while also putting together an overarching deal. So I assume they're going to be specialized for each team, what each team can do. And I would assume it's going to be different at each place just a little bit with the overall understanding that safety has to come first with these rules being already implemented by the state that we're currently in. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's why.
And I don't know if that's accurate. I'm not 100% sure if that's right, but that seems like that could potentially be why 3 of the 32 said yes, because they're adjusting to the Kansas City, Missouri, the Texas rules with Houston Texans, and whoever that third team is, not 100% sure. Let's assume they're also in Texas. Maybe Dallas was another team that okayed this, but it has to probably be because of the state's guidelines in this entire thing.
With the AFL having fans in the stands and so far it being successful, do you think the NFL has a shot at doing that as well?
So the AFL is such a different world because it's Australia. That's right. So their world is much different than our world. They are a legit island. Now, a continent, a big one, but they have their own sets of rules. They have a completely different government style down there. They have their own statistics, I would assume, and deaths, and they're their own rules. But you have to think that the NFL is watching NASCAR. So NASCAR here in America has had fans come back into the stands. I believe IndyCar this weekend in Iowa had fans in the stands as well. Only a certain percentage of people were allowed to get tickets. My fiance's father, who's 65 years old, I believe 60 years old, he was at the race in Iowa. He said that they had everybody like spots almost where you're allowed to sit, where you're not allowed to sit. There was like an entire guideline layout of what you're allowed to do. But if you watched that NASCAR race last week, those guidelines meant nothing when Chase Elliott won $1 million and there was fireworks shooting over his shoulder. They came sprinting down to cheer for him. So I think there's a lot of people watching what happened in Bristol, Tennessee, watching what happened in Iowa, seeing if death rates spike because of COVID-19 or hospitals get reimbursed, and then that's going to be what they're paying attention to. What happens here and what happens in California is much different, let alone what happens here and what happens in Australia. That's going to be a tough comparison.
Yeah.
But the way Australia had to roll back into it, I assume the NFL is going to be doing the same thing. Only a certain amount of groups in certain places. You're only allowed 20 people in a room. You have to do this. And the NFLPA hearing from coaches that this plan's not going to work, that was the most depressing news that I heard last week. And I wonder which coach it was, who said it, what state they were in, what were the guidelines for them to get back as opposed to everybody else. Because the testing every day is going to be it's going to be interesting to see how that gets handled, because I assume that's a part of everybody's plan, is you get tested every single day. Do we have enough tests to do that? And those things don't get back for 3 days. If you have a guy get test positive, could he not infect everybody over the next 2 days? Then they want that acclimation period. Well, what's the acclimation period? Just more, you go in, get tested, go back. We still do the Zoom calls until we find out who tests positive. Whoever tests positive, not allowed in the building. Whoever tests negative is allowed in the building. But then what happens when that person goes home? And there's going to be a lot that's going to have to figure out. And that's why they have an infectious disease emergency response plan that's been okayed by 3 people and would have to get 29 more. But then the IR rules, the payment system, everything. There's a lot that has to get figured out here in 8 days, but backs against the wall. Let's assume Roger Goodell can do it if Rob Manfred was able to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, if baseball got it done, and then granted, like the product on the field is a lot different, but don't you think how baseball progresses over these next couple weeks will be huge in terms of like traveling and like staying in different cities? Because I mean, how much can they learn from like the NBA and the NHL when they're not going to be in a bubble for the whole year?
The MLB getting it done was massive for the NFL because the NFL was not able to be bubbleized. Remember, this is when Tony Fauci came out. Tony Fauci said the NFL is not going to be able to work because you can't bubble. And the NFL's doctor came out and said, hey, Fauci, you stay out of our business, okay? We'll figure this out, Fauci. We don't need you. But then when you see what the MLB has been able to do, where they even got mayors and governors to change rules for them to open their stadiums and you're allowed to play there. Now, granted, the Toronto Blue Jays have had a different set of rules than everybody else when it came to the MLB since jump. The Toronto Blue Jays players were told if you were spotted outside of the Rogers Center, which I believe, is that what it was called? Mm-hmm. The Rogers Center, which is also the name of the arena in Edmonton. It seems like Rogers owns everything up there. Shout out to that Rogers. Got cake up there. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to make fun of Canadians.
No. Do it.
Does that guy own every pine tree up there? Is he just
syrup monopoly?
Is
perhaps?
the Rogers the maple syrup walk? No, I don't know what Rogers is. But
cell phone service.
I
think it's cellular service. I think.
Okay.
Telecommunications.
Anyways, they got a lot up there. But they were told, the Toronto Blue Jays baseball players were told, if you're seen outside of the stadium, $750,000 fine and possible jail time. Okay. So none of us knew how it was going to work with them. Turns out the Blue Jays are the only team in the MLB that are not allowed to have games at their stadiums. And it's because of Canada's rules as opposed to whatever Toronto's rules are, which I assume are a bit harsh, as opposed to what America was able to do. The NHL, no problem. You want to fly in an entire league, Eastern Conference to Toronto and lock them down, we're cool with that. But this terrible-ass baseball team that we've been trying to get rid of for a long time, they're not allowed to have other baseball teams come in here, play, leave, come back. They got to go do this somewhere in America, maybe in Pittsburgh, because that park is used to having nobody in the stands anyways. Go have them play down there with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we offered up this thought. If the Toronto Blue Jays wins at the end of the season and the Pittsburgh Pirates wins at the end of the season were put together because they're potentially playing at PNC Park together, would they have enough wins to potentially together qualify for the playoffs? Good, smart money says no. But PNC Park potentially hosts two teams. Toronto doesn't. But the MLB is a big deal for the NFL to watch. Just like the NFL was watching the NBA get this done and watching the MLS get this done, the NFL was watching very closely to what the MLB was doing when it comes to policies, I would assume.
But it ultimately still is going to come down to what health and safety, because the product on the field is so much different than anything else. I mean, kind of to what Ike Taylor said.
Yeah, well, how do the players, I mean, there's always going to be risk, right? And if you're representing the players, and your big thing is we're not going to put our players in any risk at all, and you're in the middle of a pandemic, there's risk obviously for every human right now at all times. It's going to be tough to get a deal done, you would think, because if you're just going to say health and safety is paramount, it's like, well, we're actually in the middle of a time right now where health and safety is almost like nobody knows what the hell. Mm-hmm. There was a time where I wasn't even allowed to look at people because they thought potentially eyeballs could track this thing. So it's going to be, just like we said, it's going to get public, it's going to get ugly, but we have to maintain the optimism that Roger Goodell is better at what he does than Rob Manfred is, and Rob Manfred was able to get it done. Let's assume Roger's going to be able to do, but they're up against clock. Teams are already being asked to report, and players are like, well, if we report and there's no guidelines, we lose money still. This doesn't make any sense. And the NFL is like, we'll figure it out. Okay, just get your ass in there. We're testing. Okay, we'll lock you down. 20 people here. You're lifting, you're running, you're watching film, and then you're getting out of here. And when you go home, by the way, if you get sick, okay, you got sick at home, not at work. We know that. We're not paying that. Okay, so get the hell out of here. And the NFL players are like, wait a minute, we should be getting paid more. They got 8 days to figure that out. Yep. Will they? Hopefully Roger Goodell will be able to do it from the basement while eating peanut butter M&Ms.
Still confident because if the players, they want to play. Hey, they said they want to play.
Hashtag we want to play.
And you know the owners want them to play, except for maybe Vegas.
Yeah, he doesn't want to play strictly because he's like, we're going through a whole season without fans? Who's going to pay these players?
Didn't they just sell all those season tickets, though?
Yeah,
Do they not make money off of those?
Yeah, but can you
Do they
collect?
get the money if they don't play the games and there's no fans there?
That's on the casinos.
I don't know. I have no idea how that'll work. Mark Davis, by the way, we commented on the stadium being black in the middle of the desert. Mm-hmm. He said it's a black hole. Oh. So makes a lot of sense. And it's round. So I like the thought that he tried to carry over that. That's a good idea. But he's been the first owner that's come out and said, hey, there's a chance this ain't going to happen. We just need to talk about that right now. And I'm not saying strictly because I am short on cash. I'm saying that strictly because this is a real possibility at this time.
Well, and then he came out as an everyman, and he said, I don't see fans differently. If you're paying $75,000 for your seat versus $75 for your seat, that's not how we're going to decide fans this year. Good guy, him. Good guy for him.
Well, that's what he is. Mark Davis is an everyday guy because he has the same amount of cash as the people that are.
You think they'll turn off the air conditioning? Save some money?
Can't do it. Nope. Won't do it. By the way, my wedding got very expensive on the account of that.
Air conditioning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think I'm potentially air conditioning an entire town in Indiana.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm a sweater. I run hot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I run very hot.
Yeah.
And I am a massively critical person of weddings I show up and there isn't an air conditioning. Okay? You put me in this church at 700 years old. I lose 45 pounds. And then we go to a reception. There's no. Why do you even have me here? This is not a celebration. This is a survival operation for me. I just need to house as much water to get through the entire night so I don't die from sweat. I got all these stupid clothes on. Now I'm sweating all over the place. You're bad people. That's how I remember weddings that don't have an air conditioning, okay? So then we do the final walkthrough for my thing. I start looking around. I'm like, it's going to be very hot. And they're like, oh, yeah, it should be good. But, a good breeze comes here. A good breeze. I'm like, we need air conditioning. And they're like, oh, we'll get you a price for that. They sent back the price. Now I'm putting a pickle. What do I do?
It was 98 degrees this weekend.
98 with 200% humidity.
Whatever it costs, it's worth it.
I agree.
Get a couple blow-up
But you don't know the price yet.
I don't want to know, but it's worth it because you want to have a good time that day. You don't want to be sweating. You don't want to be miserable. You don't want to be thinking about love in your future.
Yeah, love, which, by the way, I will think a lot about love, and I'll probably get a bit emotional. She had a bridal shower on. Her bridal shower this weekend. She had like a white dress on, the whole thing, and it was like a little. I was like, oh, this is very cute. Like I could see how this is potentially an emotional thing, and I didn't watch any Disney movies growing up, so a lot of people don't think I have emotions to begin with, but I felt a little bit this weekend seeing her in a white dress. And for the wedding, I assume I'll feel it even more because forever's a long time, especially when you're marrying your best friend. Blah blah blah, all this stuff. But boy, if it's hot, I will remember that day for one thing and one thing alone.
When is
you remember when you guys tried to kill me on our wedding day? Lost 75 pounds, sweating my ass off.
When is your groomal shower?
Whoa.
Don, if that was loud, Don, I don't know if that was over everybody's. I don't know if everybody could hear that or just me. But if it was everybody, Don, I feel like you're going to have an enemy in Samantha Lou. I feel it. Okay. All right, smart. All right, smart. What you say, Connor?
So when is your groomal shower? Because, the bridal, don't you get one too?
I asked a lot of questions, and every time I asked that question, I was told, like, well, that's up for your party to throw that party or whatever. It's like that. And I was like, well, I don't want to ask my boys to do that. And she was like, but you got to remember, these gifts are for us, this bridal shower. I started looking at a couple of gifts. I think that was a lie. From what I've been told.
You anything good?
Huh?
Anything good?
Me?
Yeah.
I did get a great painting of us at the house, which is going up.
Nice.
A good drawing. Very, very cute.
Awesome.
I have not seen all the gifts. I got an Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh, that's a big win.
For the toilet. Etch-a-Sketch in there.
That's huge.
Never been good. Got an Etch-a-Sketch. A little dry erase thing to put on the wall, which is very nice. People thinking out for me. But a lot of the gifts really felt like they were for her, which, by the way, her day should be. That's how it should be. But you're right. I asked a lot of questions about when do I get gifts.
Yeah. Groom shower should happen probably.
I don't think that's real, by the way.
It's not, unfortunately.
We could start it, though, couldn't we?
Good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sure someone had to start the bridal shower.
Yeah, I feel like that one goes way back, just like the flowers, for the bridal shower. I believe that one goes pretty far back too, because even the older folks that we called that were married, they said, "Yeah, you got to show up. What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, the office was split."
The original bridal shower was 1890.
Yeah, see,
1889. Then I mean, what the hell were they doing?
yeah. They weren't celebrating like they should have. 20 minutes after the hour, got to get to a break. Brides didn't feel loved by their friends in 1889.
They used to actually take a shower.
So I believe there's like a real sentiment behind the bridal shower in that whole thing.
It's a lot of reading, but
Cleansing. There's probably a cleansing or something.
Yeah, but now it's like showering with gifts is what it is.
Like slime them like Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Sam deserves all of them, by the way. She really does. More than what she got, she deserves. I wish she would have got more. But good news is her birthday's coming up.
Woo! There you go.
And wedding.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's go.
Well, 2 for 1.
You guys know I've been planning for her birthday for what, a month now?
Long time.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't know about the flowers at the bridal shower.
Because I was so focused on the birthday.
Yeah, on the birthday. Yeah.
Which is her day. So everybody knows that. Hashtag romance, dude. 21 minutes after the hour, we're back on the other side. We want to play. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'd also potentially taken over their 30 edibles because I thought more teammates of mine were going to want to indulge in that either before the game or after the game. And to get to London, you go through your own TSA here. The team has TSA that you have to check in. Here's my passport. The Colts already have it. They took it all from everybody. It's literally you get your bags checked and then you're through. Put them in a little thing. We're good to go. It's the team's TSA. Get on the bus, fly over there. I forgot all about them. Didn't utilize them at all because how things quickly changed.
Right.
After we lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, we're on the team bus. They go, hey, we're going through Heathrow Airport through the real-life TSA. And at that moment, I look around. I go, oh, no. I have some things in my bag right now that have vitamins in them. I have to get rid of them. And at that point, I'd whittled it down to like 15 of them. And I look at Vinatieri, and I'm like, buddy, not good. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I guess I'm just going to throw them away in here. Couldn't do that because right next to the trash can was an English police officer. So I couldn't just walk up and dump a bunch of edibles into the thing next to the guy. He's going to ask questions. We're going to the Heathrow Airport. Now I got to do what I got to do. We finally get there. Police escorts, a lot going on. So I just take down 13 edibles.
Yikes.
See you later. Vinatieri looks at me and goes, how you doing, bub? I was like, good now, but things are about to happen. He goes, I got you, little buddy. I'm like, thank you. So we go through the little check-in thing. And right before we get to the scan of the bags thing, it all hits me. I might as well have been on Cloud 45 over there in London. They check my bag, boom, boom, boom. I get selected. Something was in my bag. So now all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, did I leave a couple in there? Oh my God. Vinatieri starts walking ahead. He turns around, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, they got my bag, man. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. So he comes and stands with me. He's like, I got you, bub. I was like, they might got me, for real. I might be staying the night in England. They go through my bag. Turns out, had a vibrating toothbrush. Thing was vibrating in my bag.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it must have been this. Or it must have been my big-ass toothpaste because you can't fly with that. I was like, you got it, pal. I get all the way back to the plane. Lost my ticket somewhere. Somehow I don't have a ticket. So now I got to check into the gate people that I don't have a ticket. I'm like, I'm on this plane. I promise I am, but I don't have a ticket. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, Patrick McAfee. McAfee? No, yeah, whatever you want to call me. I just need a ticket. So now I have to sit there and wait as somebody brings me a ticket from the front while my entire team walks by me, knowing that I'm on Cloud 50, just having a good time. Grigson walks by, just upset, obviously. I wish he would have known that I was in a mood where he should have talked to me there. It was just a nightmare. The London trip for me from beginning to end was not good, and I think that happens for a lot of NFL players. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite time of the show, a reading by Zito.
Intro. Fellas, are you prepared to unveil your summer bod? No.
You know what? I'd like to reveal and unveil a lot of things, man.
Did I say that wrong?
No.
I love unveiling.
Yeah, you do. You know what the best is? Like veal parmesan.
I love veal.
Yeah.
The beaches are opening, the sun is shining, and the bushes must be That's fun. That's good. That's good. Manscaped is here to ensure your post-quarantine body is ready for the wild. Here's some talking points. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level up your full body grooming game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
No, you didn't.
Oh, thank you. They have forever changed the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0. Let's just skip a couple of these real quick. You can also adjust the settings to get the length you like. I actually do like that. Be sure to use the crop cleanser. Love the crop cleanser. I'm going to call the action real quick.
Please do, Zito.
Got it. Get 20% off and free shipping with code PETM. at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code PETM. Your balls will thank you.
Yep. That a boy Z. Good read there.
M?
You trim the bushes, the tree stands taller.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that. Let's go to Noah in New York. What's up, Noah? I can hear him listening.
Yes.
Appreciate you listening.
behind.
What do you want to talk about, bro? And now.
Well, it actually should be.
Hello?
Oh, there it is.
What's going on, Noah?
Hey, boys. I want to talk about the lacrosse COVID Cup.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how familiar you guys are with the PLL, but new expansion team coming out this year. Play-in tournament starting this Saturday for seeding, then an elimination tournament starting in August.
All right, awesome. The Premier League Lacrosse, PLL, founded by Paul Rabel, by the way, who I do follow on the internet and I think is an impressive human being. I have never gotten into lacrosse strictly because I didn't come from like the richest school in my area that had lacrosse. I came from a regular school, but I do believe lacrosse has become much more prevalent around the globe, and it's a sport that is exciting. We used to have an Arena League lacrosse team in Pittsburgh back in the day. I believe I went to a couple of those games. I enjoyed it. They used to fight. It was like hockey mixed with soccer, mixed with other sports.
Yeah.
I never really got into it because none of the schools that I played against or at had lacrosse, but I could see how the PLL could potentially be big for the NFL as well because there's a lot of contact, a lot of running, a lot of players, a lot of movement, and Paul Rabel can get it done. Good for him.
Is the PLL indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Okay,
PLL
good. I don't like the indoor one.
Nah, the indoor one's smaller. There's a lot of action.
The
Check the
goalie's
boxing.
pads are so big.
Yeah, well, and also those balls are flying and they do not budge.
And the PLL actually has become the Premier League. The MLL was the first one, and now all the good players are going PLL.
Well, that's because it is the Premier Lacrosse League.
Ooh,
yeah,
like the EPL
with Paul Rabel. We'll watch some games. I'll see if it can get me hooked or not. I think I could potentially like lacrosse. Never got into it because once again, it was not around me ever. But I can see the excitement. You're a lax dude over.
I do enjoy lacrosse, sport of the future.
Just like Dippin' Dots.
Just like Dippin'
I
Dots.
love Dippin'
How long has Dippin' Dots been the ice cream of the future and still not remain the ice cream of today?
32 years.
At least 20 years at this point. But I'll enjoy a little cookies and cream Dippin' Dots if I'm at Kennywood or something like that. But it will never be the ice cream of the day, just like lacrosse will probably never be the sport of today, always the sport of tomorrow, which is not a bad thing to be. Is be the promising league, the come-up league. Got a chip on your shoulder. Can't wait for Premier League lacrosse to debut this Saturday, he said. Is that accurate?
I believe so.
You don't know. You're supposed to be a big lacrosse guy.
I'm so focused on the AFL right now. I can't divvy up my time to the PLL.
Yeah. So you just mocked. You're a lacrosse guy in the office, and you just said you don't care that the league's coming back. That's potentially a problem for lacrosse, but I will watch it, unlike these lacrosse diehards who played in high school and in college and refuse to watch the PLL because they hope the sport dies.
Is Mitt a bigger lacrosse guy in the office than Boston College?
I would assume.
I actually know a lot about the PLL, and it's starting July 25th. Connor, but I wrote a nice little piece about it. I was going to show it to you.
You wrote a piece?
You wrote a piece about the PLL?
Yeah, I was going to show it to you after work today.
You're a writer?
I tried.
Nah, boy, I'll read it because that seems to be your problem is the reading part of it. But it will be exciting to talk about the PLL. I like that we got a Lax Bro in here, by the way.
Nice. Yeah.
Got a Lax Bro in here in Mitt. That boy, Mitt.
Rip and Twine.
Did you play?
Yeah, 3-year captain.
Oh! Let's go. Hey, we ripping some twine, dog.
Well, no, I played defense, but
you had a long stick.
one goal.
You had a long stick. You were a long stick guy.
I had one goal.
Okay.
I also played long stick. A couple of us.
Well, you didn't even know the sport was coming
about
back.
it.
Yeah, you didn't care. All right, let's pivot back to the NFL. Joining us now, senior NFL writer for Yahoo, still exists, Yahoo Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, Charles Robinson.
You know, we still exist just like all the equipment from the moon landing 51 years ago still exists on the moon.
Charles, listen, I'm 100% excited that we got to the moon 51 years ago. Shout out to everybody that was a part of that. There's just a lot of questions. That was very far. That is very far from Earth for us to get to 51 years ago when we didn't even have dial-up internet at the time.
We had pocket calculators. Hey, look, I'm a journalist because I don't understand math. Hence, I don't understand the moon landing. So
Yeah, we're not all rocket scientists, but you do understand the football rather well. Been covering it for a long time. I, just like everybody, I'd assume you knew that there was eventually going to come an NFLPA conversation about the rollback into play. None of us expected this COVID-19 to last this long. Originally, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and then it was a month. Now we're 4 months into this thing, and it's still cooking and having effects on stuff. What do you know about the NFL and the NFLPA? Yesterday, the infectious disease emergency response plan was okayed by 3 of the 32 teams. Is that strictly because those teams have to go back to training camp early and that had to get done? And do you expect that to be how it happens with the rest of the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, so you know how it is. Deadline spur deals, and Houston and Kansas City had to get rookies in. So the IDER, as you said, infectious disease emergency response plan.
Nailed it. Hey, that boy.
Well done. So Friday, what was interesting about this, so on Friday I had a chance to talk to both sides, and not every team had even submitted their initial IDER, to the league or the NFLPA. And frankly, that's what pissed off a lot of the players, because the players said, hey, where's, first and foremost, we got to have the emergency response plan just as a starting point for a lot of these franchises. And the PA said, well, some of them have them in the initial, the initial submission, but not all teams do. And players are like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing here? And that kind of got the ball rolling. J.J. Watt, who's obviously here in Houston, has been at the forefront of a lot of this, and Byron Jones with the Miami Dolphins. These guys started to essentially say, look, we get to Sunday, and if we're still lagging on a lot of these details, some of us got to step out here and we got to say something. So you got the hashtag We Want to Play, a lot of players coming out and basically voicing the concerns. Now, what's interesting here, I actually wrote this down for you, Pat.
Nice.
I made a list for you.
Okay. We like lists. We like lists.
Charles?
I asked, I said, look, give me the top 4 things. Like knock it out. Give me the top 4 things to get this done, to get everybody in camp. I was told, okay, there's a 1A and a 1B because the league and both sides really consider this on the same tier. Testing and economics. Now, the testing protocol's got to be done now. Like, we have to know that right now. The economics and where the cap is going, they can continue to work on this. They feel like, hey, even if we get people in, we can figure out the cap ramifications.
48 days. They have 48 days to basically get that done.
Look at that, man. Pat knows math, by the way. He could land somebody on the moon if he needed to. Right there, that guy.
They did it 51 years ago. I don't know. All right, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so testing and economics 1A, 1B. What will be discussed today in a couple of hours, the preseason,
2 o'clock.
which is I think it's going to get cut from 2 games to 1, which is interesting because essentially you got half the teams in the league are going to get screwed here. And what they're saying is, hey, if we had 2, that means every single team gets a home game. Every single team gets a chance to try out the protocols. But if we cut it to 1, now we have half the teams in the league get the advantage of going through sort of the protocols on game day, whereas the other half of the league, hey, they just got to go into the breach week 1 of the regular season and hope that nothing happens.
That's very interesting, actually, because I'm sure that because the players are like, well, the players since the beginning of time, by the way, if you ask them to vote on whether or not they want a preseason, they would say no preseason at all. It's a waste of reps. It's a waste of time. But from the NFL side saying, hey, listen, we would like to be able to pull this off in a good fashion. We need to be able to test it. So are they going to potentially be looking for other people to put on maybe a 7-on-7 game for them to test out their stadium or some other way to do it if it goes to 1 preseason game? Or what will they do? Just roll the dice week 1, I guess?
I think what you'll see is it will tilt. This is just my guess from conversations I've had. They would like to probably tilt the 16 home games toward teams that are going to be able to host fans. So Philadelphia, for example, they're not going to have fans in the stands. So pulling off a preseason home game for them, the advantages are, okay, the personnel, bringing people in, making sure everybody's safe on game day. But for teams that have stadiums that are going to have fans in them, if you're actually going to have fans in the stands for preseason games, you want to get sort of that dry run.
Okay.
So
what teams are those? What teams are those? Texas teams? Is this all this is all governments, I would assume, wherever the local government is?
Yes, this is all state locale. So like Philadelphia, for example, it's because of what's going on there with the state and local government. That's why they're not going to have fans this season. Houston right now it's up in the air. I mean, NRG, has had tents up in the parking lot doing COVID testing. And so, I mean, it's a hot spot. That's part of why you hear what J.J. Watt's saying right now. I think there are members of the coaching staff, the front office that are leery.
Got it.
And frankly, that's something that's still in the orbit here. What if one of the 32 teams or multiple of the 32 teams have situations where all of a sudden there's an automatic shutdown in the next week? Florida is ballooning. Houston is ballooning. There are a number of localities where it's starting to balloon. So the PA is like, hey, if it gets pushed back, and this is something I was told as well, they're like, look, it's not going to be because of our negotiations. It's going to get pushed back because a local government's going to say, we got a mandatory stay-at-home order for at least 2 weeks here. That means football players can't be showing up. Like, everybody's got to stay at home, which is what Houston's mayor has been pushing for. Everybody stays home for 2 weeks except for essential frontline workers.
Oh, you guys are locked down in Houston right now? I did not know that.
We are not locked down. The mayor of Houston wants it, but the governor, Greg Abbott, has said, no. The state's open. Texas is open. We're staying open.
That's happening here. Now, Houston, though, is geographically very widespread, like massive. Yes. Houston is, I think, the 4th largest city in America, and nobody even knows it because Houston doesn't get talked about in that fashion. You're always like, New York, L.A., Chicago. It's like Houston, though, is rapidly growing. It's a massive city, but it also geographically, it's huge. Like here in Indiana, same thing. Indianapolis mayor has it on lockdown, but the state is like, no, we're open. But here, you drive 15 minutes north, you are in open. But in Houston, you could drive 45 minutes and still be in Houston, technically.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so south side to north side of Houston, the tip to the tip is like 45 minutes in a car.
So that's a large area that's locked down as opposed to anything. Yeah. So I assume that's a lot of questions. All right, what's number 2 that you're told is of importance to get a deal done?
Okay, so actually number 3, preseason's number 2 if you consider economics and testing.
Well, that was 1B. I mean, so.
Hey, I'm just putting them on the tiers, right? Remember tiers. The NFL likes to operate in tiers.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, so we get to the 3rd tier. It's the opt-out.
So they're tied. Those two are tied? 1A and 1B are tied?
1A and 1B are, I would say, they're on the same level, but they don't have to be decided at the same time. Testing needs to be decided now. Economics has to be decided, as you said, by that 48-day window expiring.
Well, so it's like a golf score. Like if in golf two people have +2, that next person is actually in 3rd place, not in 2nd place, even though they have the 2nd highest score. So this one is potentially the 2nd most important behind those 2, but it's actually because the 2 tied. This is actually 3, not 2.
Even ranking this isn't simple. So that's why you can't solve anything.
All right, what's 3?
Okay, so number 3, the opt-out. So players, some teams have been confused by this idea of players opting out August 1st versus opting out before the season even starts. So I actually had a general manager say to me, he's like, I don't get it. So players are going to show up, if this all goes correctly, players are going to show up July 28th, but then some guys are going to opt out by August 1st. He's like, why wouldn't they opt out? If guys want to opt out, why don't they opt out beforehand? Well, the PA is saying, the opt-out doesn't necessarily have to be before camp opens because maybe players want to get in there, see what the protocols are like, or we all want to see what the protocols are like before players go, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I need to pull. This opt-out is going to be important because there are a number of players across the league, particularly players who have severely asthmatic symptoms, severe elements of asthma that they deal with that are really at risk here. So I've heard some names of some upper tier guys, who are considering opting out of the season because they're like, look, I'm at risk. There's no way I can go through this. And they've actually told their teammates on text message conversations, hey, I'm leaning to not playing. Like, I'm probably going to have to opt out.
Has that opt-out conversation happened between the 2 sides about financial and anything like that, or they have not even broached that subject yet?
That's part of what's being hammered out right now. So does the season count? Does your contract toll for a year?
There's a lot there. There is a lot there, especially whenever you're talking about being vested and everything. There is a lot there.
Yeah. So a guy, is it, you don't want, the PA doesn't want it to be a detriment for someone who's opting out for health reasons to suddenly be told, hey, guess what? You're not part of the pension yet then. You have to wait because you don't get that extra year. So it's weird. It's almost like a little miniature CBA is being worked out inside of, a CBA that takes 10 years to basically negotiate and really 3 months of beating the living hell out of each other. All of a sudden they're trying to negotiate one in, 2 weeks. Like, we didn't have the whole offseason to figure this out.
And what's the 4th one? That opt-out one seems like that's going to be a real problem. What's the 4th one?
How will camp be structured? And so basically, for example, the Chiefs and the Houston Texans, everyone says, oh, well, rookies are showing up. They're going to start practicing today. That's not what's happening. Okay.
Got it.
They're showing up. They're getting tested. They're all going to go home. Okay. And then tomorrow they're going to get tested again. And, part of what's going on right now is seeing, can we turn around the test as quickly as we hope? So what the league would like to do is test Monday, Wednesday, Friday, get results back Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's the protocols they would like. But you're talking about thousands upon thousands of tests that have to get done. And we saw with Major League Baseball at the start, they're like, none of us have the test back. We're supposed to start now, and we don't even have the test back. And the league is talking about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, if you talk about everybody involved in the process, not just players, getting these tests every 24 hours. Seems unlikely.
So that's that acclimation process that the players have been all in there. We want to play the acclimation process. I would assume that they're going to have to test everybody, send them home.
Yep.
Whoever comes back negative, we just got to hope that whoever they went home to didn't infect them. Then they come back. Whoever tests positive, you lock down for 8 to 10 days until you have another negative test. And then once the negatives are all in the building, then now we got even more problems about who's going home to who's going where, how do we travel. Oh, yeah, they got 8 days, by the way, to figure this all out, Charles. 8 days.
Yeah. Which is why players, as you said, the acclimation period, they said, look, we want a 3-week acclimation period to make sure, hey, everybody's been tested over and over, guys are going home. But as you said, the 28th, if this goes by what the rookie protocols go by, the veterans are going to show up on the 28th. They're going to all get tested, right? And then they're all going to go home because this is what they're doing with the rookies. Why would they change it for the veterans? It's just this massive quagmire of details that have to be worked out. Now, that said, I asked the pessimist who's kind of involved in these talks on Friday, I said, do you think this is going to get done? And he said we are within spitting distance of most of the issues but the economics.
Can't spit, though. That's like one of the biggest problems. So, that's good.
Don't spit during the negotiations.
That's good news. Calais Campbell, who is a part of these conversations as an executive committee member of the NFLPA, he told us on Friday, like, hey, it's going to go all the way up to the wire, but he thinks it's going to get done as well. And I keep saying, if Rob Manfred was able to figure this out, Manfred was able to figure this out.
Bad commissioner.
Bad commissioner. I think that the NFL will be able to figure it out. I hope so. Thanks for laying that out for us. I feel like I just learned a lot, Charles. Can I learn something else? Is that a 45 caliber on your head there? What is the 45 for?
It's since in honor of baseball season starting and the trash can coming out of mothballs, the Houston Astros were the 45s. This is an Astros hat for everybody who wonders. And yes, absolutely they cheated. But hey, sports right now. So let's get moving.
Hey, nobody appreciated the sports hiatus and quarantine more than the Houston freaking Astros. Yep. We got bigger fish to fry. Hey, we're still talking about the garbage cans. People are dying. People are dying out there. Charles, every time you come on, I appreciate you even more. Yahoo Sports is lucky they got you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
No problem.
Stay safe, all right?
Yeah, you too. Especially down there in Houston, man. Lock it down, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Robinson. Thank you. All right, we got to get to another break here, and then we'll wrap up the show. A lot of information there.
Yeah, ton.
We'll react to that on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Well, hello, sensual piano keys. You sound incredibly inspirational and motivational. Big announcement coming from our company. You know, throughout my entire life, I've made decisions that people have said, ooh, that is stupid. You've read about them. You heard about them. When I was in high school, I went to an underground poker game, won $1,400, flew myself down to Miami, won a kicking contest, and got a scholarship to West Virginia the next day. I turned my back on soccer that day. Everybody said, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? You have more schools looking at you for soccer than you do for football. What are you thinking? Fast forward 8 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was on top of the world, top of the mountain. How's the view? Not too shabby. And when I was at the top of my game, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue some other stuff. My friends and I are going to go to work on the internet. We're going to try to chase fulfillment as opposed to just a paycheck. And there were some interesting responses from people of power in the sporting world.
Make them tear the uniform off of you.
Sure.
Look, somebody needs to stage an intervention. People who know this guy, get to him now. Make him put his helmet back on and get to camp.
Oh no, there's no intervention, Wilbon. No. Here we are 3 years after that date, and it's a celebration, bitches! Cut the music! Let's hand out some bags to the boys. For the boys. For the boys. Oh, by the way, that's for you, brother.
Oh my God.
Are you home? All right, come out the front door.
What's up, dude?
What's this?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
What the fuck? Fuck you. Oh my God. Oh yeah. That is the bag of money.
FanDuel deal went through. There's $50,000 in there for you. Here's a backpack with $50,000 in it. Oh, $50,000 in there.
Oh my God.
Yes, there's $50,000 in there. Yes, there's $50,000 in there.
Are you fucking serious?
Let's go.
You brought it back?
Oh, man. Let's go, dude.
Let's go. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yo, this is...
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dude.
We did it?
Couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, it's a fuck ton of money.
You guys.
When I asked Dan Patrick for some advice, he told me always take care of the boys.
Well, and you should know those people that are there with you, that their value cannot be overstated and should not be overstated.
So, Mike Wilbon, they didn't hold my jersey on me. They didn't hold my helmet on me. We didn't have an intervention. What we have is a celebration. Because when you bet on yourself, sometimes you hit for big. And for us, the only place we'll bet for the next couple years in an exclusive deal, FanDuel backed the Brinks truck up to our office, and we have never been more thankful, more excited, and more together as we promote the greatest sports book on planet Earth. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, which is a company, senior NFL reporter. He came in and dropped some knowledge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's got some real sources, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he comes in, he starts telling us stuff that I haven't heard from anywhere else. The four main talking points for the NFL and the NFLPA. And I didn't follow up with who told him this was at the NFL or the NFLPA. I think he said this is both sides. Mm-hmm. Testing and economics, obviously, number one. We all knew that. 1B, preseason going to one game as opposed to two, which we didn't think about. If it isn't two games, then not every team has a home game. Therefore, not every team can test out their guidelines for bringing fans back into the stands. That's an interesting thought that I did not think about, because strictly from a player's perspective, I was like, well, why are you going to put them in risk for even more and do this? And players hate preseason. He's like, well, from a business standpoint, it would be nice if each team could test out their protocols for the fans. Didn't even think about that. That is something I didn't even, honestly. Number three, the opt-out. especially by players who have severe asthma, which I think I was undiagnosed asthma guy. I was always tired when I ran. So I think that should be talked about a little bit more than it was by all my conditioning coaches. I think they potentially are all on a group text thread right now and think, you think McAfee had asthma? Probably. He died in all of our sprints. But that is something that I assume a lot of guys are worried about, because if you see what it is attacking, who gets it worse, asthma seems to be a problem, especially because it is a lung disease. If guys opt out, who's getting paid? Are they getting paid? Do they have to, does that year just hold basically and they get into their contract again next year? And then how does that for a new class of people? And what's that for the salary cap? Do you not pay that? There's a lot that has to be figured out there. What's the punishment? Is there a punishment? There is no punishment. And then how will camp be structured for everybody? And that's the acclimation period that we're referring to. Those are the four main questions that they have to figure out in 8 days. Some teams are supposed to report earlier, although a infectious disease emergency response plan has been okayed by 3 teams. The other 29 still have to do so, and there's some other problems. But hey, optimism. Remember, just when we thought there was a chance there is not going to be a league, I told me, remember, there will be a season. And that is where we have to stay. We have to remind ourselves that there will be a season, because Rob Manfred figured it out. Roger Goodell and the NFL will be able to figure it out.
It seems to me, and I don't know, it seems like the trickiest part in there is the opt-out. I feel like that's...
The opt-out is a lot, because that's not only business, that is also salary cap structure, that is also health, that is future, there is a lot that has to... The opt-out will be a big conversation piece, especially for older players, younger players. How do they get... Are they allowed? No judgment, they'll say. But then when a guy goes to sign a guy and he knows that, this is the guy that opted out, there's definitely going to be some judgment there. It is a very interesting. But remember, when the NBA and the MBPA were talking, there was a lot more players talking about opting out than actually happened. And let's assume and hope that that same thing happens to the NFL if the players feel safe enough to go back. Let's hope that all this stuff that we're going to hear and get aired out over the next couple of days gets settled, and we just get back into safety and football. Yeah! Monday, July 20th, we've had a show here. We can't thank you enough, and our guests for rocking with us. We will see you mañana. This has been the Pat McAfee Show from Indianapolis, Indiana! All right, now that we're off air, it is time for our lacrosse bro on the couch, 3-year captain, man who is a fan of the Premier League lacrosse, which is returning on July 25th, our intern who shaved his mullet but looks fresh to death, Mr. Mitt with his minutes. Minutes, what's up? What do we got?
We have a big week of sports coming up. The Toronto Blue Jays got kicked out of Canada, got exiled to Pittsburgh.
Allegedly, Buffalo or Pittsburgh, but you're 100% right.
The NFL may seem a little gloom and doom right now, but there's nothing to worry about. Just remember, even Rob Manfred could figure it out.
Yes, that's the most important part of our entire show today. Rob Manfred figured out the MLB and the MLBPA. Let's assume Roger Goodell will be able to do the same damn thing.
Optimism about college football, not the same.
Not as high. It never has been. We all know that. I think even the biggest college football fans are like, yeah, we're probably going to have to wait another year. Which, by the way, a lot of college football players should be preparing for their NFL evaluation. And I don't want to say that. I would love to see Trevor Lawrence play another year. Travis Etienne. I'd like to see the Clemson Tigers get back in there after losing to Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers down there in New Orleans. And, I'd like to see that. But these boys, you have to think about your future, the current. But when there's a big question mark revolving around your league's future, you have to start thinking about yourself at some point. When will the college football players start doing that? I'm intrigued to see. When will that decision be made? Nobody knows.
Well, pro tip, show up to your lady's bridal shower with flowers.
Yep, pro tip.
We have
Diggs and I do that.
Hero move.
Ty pumped for the MLB game starting this Thursday. We had a LinkedIn ad. Great job as always, Tone.
Thank you.
Attaboy, Tone.
Thanks from our friend Nick, presented by Manscaped. 51 years ago, the first moon landing that happened.
Only.
Whoa, what was your eyes there?
First and only. Your eyes got big because it is alarming that 51 years ago they were able to land on the moon. We here are big fans of that happening.
Love it.
Ain't that right, Ty?
Yes, we are.
We are big fans of that.
Well, I thought we were. I'm starting to think maybe just I am.
No, we are big fans of that. I just know that there's people who have questions, and I'm not against being the voice of those people that have questions, but I don't want to take the blame for those people that have questions because I do not. I believe we were there, but there's a lot of people that are like, hey, we couldn't even fucking get on the internet then, and we got to 200 and some thousand miles, and I'm like, hey, good question. I don't want to hear it. Go talk to Buzz Aldrin and get out of my face.
What the hell's inside the moon?
We had two-time Super Bowl champ.
We
Ike
could
Taylor.
barely get to the space station. Okay, we got to the space station. It was a celebration. Remember, there was like 6 million people watching live us take off and get to the space station with Elon Musk SpaceX. That's 200 and some miles.
254.
254 miles. The moon is 248,000 miles.
On it.
Give or take a couple.
238,000.
238,000 miles. 51 years ago. I don't have the questions, but people do ask that question, and I'm like, fucking right, we did it. Hey, don't ask your question.
Damn right we did.
We did it. 238,000 miles, no problem. What are you talking about? We got there. But your questions are valid if you have any. That is how our show feels.
Well, this is also a sports show.
Yep.
Two-time Super Bowl champ Ike Taylor joined, talk about the NFL season. He discussed the players' concerns about safety guidelines. We got into a real discussion about the possibilities of social distancing while running an NFL franchise. Also, it has been confirmed Ike balled out for his Madden rating while illegally bumping Lil Wayne.
That has been confirmed. Big confirmation show. We confirmed those two things.
We kicked off the second hour talking some AFL. The West Coast Eagles absolutely annihilated Fremantle. Tough bounce there for Foxy.
Yes.
MLS players are all better than everyone in this room at soccer.
Yep.
With that being said, the quality of play has been electric and kind of comical.
Hilarious. It's definitely been hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a guy,
bad
professional
for the shot.
soccer player. I saw a professional soccer player whiff and fall on his face.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, professional athletes make those types of mistakes all the time. Kickers used to dance and tear their ACLs. But I'm just saying, like, every night you watch MLS, you have no clue what's going to happen. And that's why it's been so, to me, interesting to watch, because your goalie might sprint out of the net on a breakaway and leave the net wide open. You have no idea. It's awesome. The MLS has been awesome to watch. There's been some incredibly cheeky moments where there's been dicey free kicks hit and everything like that. But every once in a while, there's a moment that happens. You're like, oh, I'm watching drunk soccer in the backyard here. It's awesome. It is. I've loved the MLS more than I've ever loved it before. Watching it down in Orlando in 200-degree heat with 400% humidity with 9,000 sponsors being projected on the back wall. I love it. I love the MLS right now.
Well, updates from the National Football League. 3 out of 32 teams have approved the NFL's effective disease emergency response plan.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, there you go. You nailed it. Eider.
Okay.
Oh, is that an error?
What?
Did I say something wrong?
No.
That's the acronym for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Charles Robinson came in and fixed us because it's not the infectious disease emergency response plan. It's actually just Eider. Go ahead and check out Eider. You know what I mean? Go check.
Nice to say.
What's going on back there, Jay?
Jay caught a mistake. He said, Jay, do you want to say something here?
He said effective and not infectious.
I caught that as well. It would have been eater, but.
Oh, you said it. Infectious disease? How do you.
What the hell?
What does that mean?
I said effective disease emergency response plan.
Well, we are hoping that Eider is effective, so I guess.
Jinx down.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Go ahead and keep it rolling, bro.
The original bridal shower was in 1890. Hashtag romance, dude.
Yeah, 1889. Shout out to them not caring about anybody.
Lacrosse will forever be the sport of the future. We had Yahoo Sports is still a thing. We had Charles Robinson, who writes for him, on to talk NFL.
Bingo.
Went through the 4 main things that need to be figured out so we can have football this fall. 1A, testing and economics. 1B, preseason games. 3, potential player opt-outs. And 4, how will camp be structured?
Yeah, oh boy.
No one appreciated the sports hiatus more than the Houston Astros.
Bingo.
And that was the show.
That was the show.
Holy shit!
Hey, he came in with a new energy.
No mullet, no problem.
He came in with a new energy and new glow. Here's some more breaking news that was tweeted to me. White boy Rick will be released from prison today.
Nice!
Yeah! Congratulations to the snowman, white boy Rick from Detroit. He was up there moving kilos and having sex with the mayor's daughter at the same damn time. White boy Rick, great movie. White boy Rick, incredible story. White boy Rick definitely ruined some people's lives and had to pay the price for that. He gets released from jail after spending 97 years in jail for selling cocaine. Happy, and shout out to white boy Rick. Hopefully we get him on this show. I have no idea how he is in interviews. If he's been locked up in a cage here for 50 years for selling blow, I don't know how he's going to be. But he is alleged to be released today. That guy was moving bricks around Detroit and made a lot of money and did not care whether or not the cops knew. Basically told and spray painted on his car, "I sell cocaine." And you got to be. He had these, by the way. He had a lot of these.
Absolutely.
White Boy Rick and his dad, Matthew McConaughey. Everybody knows that. Congrats, White Boy Rick, for doing it.
Shout out.
Doing his time. Congrats to Mitt, too, getting through that entire minute.
On a Monday.
We're back in 58 minutes with McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. There will be a lot to digest, including our talk about the effective Eider in rolling back into sports and the MLB returning Thursday, MLS, NBA, a lot. LeBron James, $1.8 million autograph sports card went up for sale or whatever. Was A.J. Hawk the one that bought that? That seems like something A.J. Hawk would do.
Sure.
Yeah. A.J. Hawk would buy a playing card for sure for $1.8 million. We'll talk to him about that and plenty more. It is Monday, July 20th. That has been the show. Cheers.